Hello class. Welcome to this quick little lesson on going over the 7.3 practice 2 problems. I just want to make sure, that those of you that need that extra help can, hopefully look at this video and get some more, practice problems under your belt. Okay, so for the first problem, we're talking about we're trying to find the exact value of cosine alpha given that sine alpha is 5/7 and alpha is in quadrant 2. All right, so first off, let's determine whether cosine is going to be positive or negative in quadrant 2. So the trick that I told you to remember, that I was telling you in the notes to remember for this was all students take calculus, right? So we have quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And remember we said it was all students take calculus. So all means all trig functions are positive here. Only sine is positive here. Only tangent is positive here, and only cosine is positive here. The rest are going to be negative. So here they said that we're in quadrant 2, which means that the cosine, the only thing that's going to be positive in quadrant 2 is sine or cosecant, but we're not going to be dealing with cosecant, in the quiz or anything like that. Just sine, cosine, and tangent. So it's going to be sine is positive, but the cosine and tangent are going to be negative there, and we're looking for cosine. So therefore, our cosine here for our answer is going to be negative. So I'm going to go ahead and put a negative there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and find out the numerical answer. So to find the numerical answer, we're going to use the Pythagorean identity. Okay, so, and you could also use a right triangle for this, which was, one of the earlier lessons. But the skill here is to be able to use the Pythagorean identity, okay? And that's where you're going to be quizzed on when I look at your work. All right, so since we're solving for cosine, I'm going to go ahead and write cosine here. So cosine alpha equals square root 1 minus sine squared. Okay, so that's your Pythagorean identity that you're using there. So we have equals square root 1 minus, and then go ahead and write down what they told you sine was equal to. Sine was equal to 5/7, and then you got to square it. Okay, so we got square root 1 minus 25/49. And then you have, remember, so 1 is the same thing as 1/1. So go ahead and put that over 1. You need a common denominator here. Okay, so this is 1/1. And then since you need a common denominator, you need a denominator of 49. So you're going to give it 49 here, top and bottom. So we have 49/49 minus 25/49. And then you got to subtract the numerators. You got a common denominator of 49. 49 minus 25 is going to be 24. And by the way, on the quiz, it's just going to be, 4 questions with Pythagorean identity. So it's going to be very straightforward. Now you will have to, I will be looking to see that you're using the Pythagorean identity. And also the numbers will be perfect numbers. So you shouldn't have any like weird numbers that you can't take the square root of, okay? All right, so for this one, you cannot do the square root of 24, without getting into decimals and stuff, right? So, which is unfortunate. So, but that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and write square root 24, since you can't take the square root of 24, just leave it like that. And then square root of 49 is 7. Okay, so there's my guy. They probably want you to simplify that, right? Maybe. So let's go ahead and break down the 24. The 24, remember, breaks into 4 times 6. And then 4 is 2 times 2. Okay, and then 6 is 2 times 3. So we're looking for pairs, right? 2 of a number. We have a pair of 2's that we can pull out. There are no more pairs here. So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and multiply those back together and get 6, okay? So I'm going to pull the pair of 2's out, and then the rest kind of just stays in. The 2 and the 3 stay in, multiply together, and then I get 6. And then I got this over 7. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type that in as my answer, and we know that's going to be negative, which is why I put the negative sign here in the software. All right, so let's go ahead and type that in. So do the fraction first. Some of you guys have trouble typing this in. Do the fraction first. Then you're going to do your numerator, 2, and then square root, oops, did the square root twice, 6, and then use your arrow keys to get to the next box, and then 7. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and check our answer here. Let's see if it lets us check our answer. All right, so we got our answer. Okay, so we're on to the next question. All right, so let's go to question 2. All right, so we'll find the exact value of cosine given that sine is 7/9 and alpha is in quadrant 1. Okay, so again, we're in quadrant 1, which means all, right? All, so all students take calculus. So all, meaning all the trig functions are going to be positive, which means my cosine is going to be positive. So no negative signs, okay? So we can go ahead and write down the same formula since we're finding cosine. I'm going to go ahead and put 7/9 here for a sine, okay? Sine is going to be 7/9. Just do that right away. This is 1/1, okay? So we have 1/1 minus 7 squared is 49, 9 squared is 81. Okay, let's go ahead and change this 1. Go ahead and give this 1/1 an 81 because we need the denominators to be the same. Okay, so now this is going to be 81/81 minus. Okay, I'm just going ahead and save some space there. So 81 minus 49 is it's going to be 40. No, it's going to be 32/81. All right, and again, they give you a one that's not so nice. The square root of 32 is not a nice number. Square root of 81 is 9. Okay, so there's my answer so far. But let's break down the square root of 32. Again, I'm not gonna on the quiz. I'm not gonna give you ones that have that where you have to break down the square root or anything like that. Trying to make it simple. Okay, but this is just a practice. All right. So this breaks into 4 times 8. 4 is 2 times 2, and then 8 is 2 times 4, and then we got another 2 times 2. All right, so let's circle those because we're done with those. Now you're circling pairs. So we got a pair here. We got a pair here. The pair goes out. Remember that the pairs go out, the rest goes in. So I got 2 pairs out. The pair of 2's and then another pair of 2's. And then I got the rest goes in, so this 2 right here goes in. All right, so and then I got it over 9, of course. So now we got 2 times 2 is 4, so we got 4 times square root of 2 over 9. All right, so that is my answer. Oh, I hope they didn't change the question. Didn't mean to click that. They might have changed the question. Okay. No. Let's go ahead and type in the answer. Do the fraction first. 4 and then the square root. Then use the arrows to go to the next box. And there we go. All right, let's go to the next question. All right, so we're gonna do, let's see here. Yeah, we're gonna do one more problem because the rest are pretty similar. This one is saying that the theta, okay, so it's saying that theta is between pi over 2 theta is between pi over 2 and pi. So what that means that it's between, remember pi over 2 is the same thing as 90 degrees. And pi is 180 degrees. Okay, so it's saying that the theta is between 90 and 180. Now, what quadrant is that? Well, remember that this is 0 degrees, right? This is 90 degrees if you're going clockwise, right? Or counterclockwise. And then continuing counterclockwise, this is 180 degrees, right? So it's saying it's between these two angles, which means we're in quadrant 2. So it's essentially saying that we're in quadrant 2 here, okay? So that's important to realize. So this means now that we know that we're in quadrant 2, remember all students. So this means that sign is positive here. So since we're in quadrant 2, there is no negative in my answer. Okay, my answer is going to be completely positive. All right, so now that we know that it's positive, you can use the Pythagorean identity. So the Pythagorean identity, sine of theta equals square root 1 minus cosine squared. Go ahead and plug in for cosine. Cosine is negative 0.3 squared. So we have square root 1 minus, and then we got to do 0.3 squared. 0.3 squared is 0.3 times 0.3, which is going to be 0.09. And this is 1 minus 0.09 is 0.91. And then they want us to type an integer or decimal. So we're gonna have to do this on a calculator. So I'm just gonna do that over here. Let's see. All right, so square root of that, I got, looks like, I'm gonna double check that. Okay, yep. So we got 0.95. Now they want us to type an integer or a decimal to 2 decimal places, right? So that means we're gonna round this to 0.95. So I got on the calculator 0.953939. So round it to 2 decimals, 0.95. All right, so I'm gonna type that in. In the quiz, you're gonna have to type in either the decimal or you're gonna have to type in the fraction. Okay, so if I had, for example, the fraction was 5/9 when I calculated it, you just want to type in 5, not even like that. You want to type it in like 5/9. So just a quick tip for the quiz. Or otherwise, you would just type it in as a decimal, round it to 2 decimal places. Okay. Okay, so we got 0.95. We're going to check our answer. That's going to be positive. And there you go. So that's how you do the quiz. The only other thing that I can give you feedback, that I can give you tips on the quiz, they're going to probably say something like, kind of like on the notes, when you have, sine of theta equals, I don't know, 5/9, and tangent theta is less than 0, where they give you like the different cases for theta. So like tangent theta is greater than 0, tangent is less than 0. They're going to give you problems like that. So you will have problems like that on the quiz if you get randomly selected that question. So what this is saying here is that tangent is negative. So you got to figure out, okay, where is tangent negative? and where is sine positive? Okay. In that case, the only one that works is, okay, well, all students take calculus, right? So tangent has to be negative, so it can't be third quadrant. It can't be the first quadrant since tangent is negative. So automatically eliminates those. Now we know sine has to be positive, so therefore you're looking at quadrant 2. Okay? I'll give you another example of what quadrant you're in. So let's say cosine is positive, or let's say they're both negative for now. So cosine is negative 2 over 5, and then tangent is greater than 0. So this is saying tangent is positive, but cosine is negative. So the only one that's going to work, right, ASTC, is if you're quadrant 3. It can't be quadrant 1 since cosine is negative. It can't be quadrant 2 because tangent is positive, and it can't be quadrant 4 because cosine is going to be positive, and it has to be negative, so it can't be that one. Okay, if I automatically switch this cosine to be plus instead of minus, then in that case, they both have to be positive. The only way that they can both be positive is if you're in quadrant 1, right? That's the only way where they're both positive. If, for example, this were less than 0, then tangent will be negative. In that case, tangent is negative, cosine is positive. That means you're looking at quadrant 4. That's where cosine is positive, but tangent is negative. All right, so hopefully that gave you enough examples to kind of play around with those types of problems. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you learned something new. I'll see you in the next one.